My next guest is Terrace Global CEO Francisco Von Bismarck. Francisco, how are you today?
I'm doing very well, James. Thank you for having me.
Great. Francisco, what is the business of Terrace Global?
So Terrace Global came together in late 2018 when several successful cannabis entrepreneurs came together to form this Canadian company with an eye on international opportunities. We are focused on the development and acquisition of international cannabis assets. As of today, we are in Uruguay, Spain, and Portugal. And our founders myself, we have Michael Gallego, he was a founder of ICC Labs, which was sold to Aurora. Stephen Arby, which was one of the founders of MedRelief, that was sold to Aurora as well. And then the Goldman family, Jonathan Goldman, who were founders of Bedrock Can, that was sold to Canopy.
Ah, very cool. And so you guys are focused on cannabis genetics then?
Well, we're focused on on markets, and I think this is a key point, no? On existing domestic market, markets that are approved for exportation and has low-cost inputs, low-cost jurisdictions. We actually focus on what I said before was the development and acquisition of cannabis assets internationally. So in Uruguay, Portugal, and Spain. And yes, we're also focusing on genetics as well.
Okay, fantastic. And so then, what's the revenue model? How are you going to make money?
Great question. I think that's a very important question for everyone right now in this sector.
You bet.
Well, the first thing that we're focusing, and I think it's important to understand that in the regions that we're in Europe and South America, we are what Canada was 5 years ago. So right now, we want to focus on domestic markets that there are sales. For example, in Uruguay, we have a recreational license that actually produces recreational cannabis, and that's being sold in the local pharmacies in Uruguay. So that for you to understand, we produce 2 tons of recreational cannabis, and that's being sold through the pharmacies in Uruguay. For you to understand the market, the current size of demand for Uruguay, even though it's a small country, is actually, according to the government, 40 tons. And between the 2 licenses, one that belongs to Aurora and ours, we are actually only producing 4 tons per year right now.
Okay.
So the revenue model there is, selling dry flower in Uruguay, and then we're doing where we have a provisional medical license in Portugal, and next year in 2020 we're going to build our greenhouse facility. Once that's built out, the production capacity will be 10 tons. To give you a better idea of how much revenues that could mean, that's about €3 per gram. So that's potentially 30 million euros.
Wow, fantastic. And how reasonable is it to expect in the future that you will be able to export cannabis products out of Uruguay to the other Mercosur and Latin American countries? Is that going to be a pretty fluid border, or is it going to be a little tougher than that?
For the recreational cannabis, that's not happening. The government, the law states that the recreational cannabis is only for the domestic market. On the medical side, that's a different story. It's starting to happen. We're seeing some exports from Uruguay to Europe and to other South American countries. What we see there, the export route, while Uruguay not the recreational, but on the medical, that will happen. Right now, we're focusing on Uruguay more on CBD extracts that I think is very interesting to eventually export to countries like Brazil, which in the past 2 weeks have changed the law where you can actually export CBD products to Brazil, but there's no production in Brazil, and that's 200 million people. And then what's in Portugal, the medical cannabis, that's actually being in the European Union, and with a total population of, I believe, about 700 million in Europe, then we'll be able to export from Portugal to other European countries. And the Portugal facility, that will be built up to GMP, so we'll make sure that we have a pharma-grade product.
Okay, so obviously being in Portugal gives you a doorway into the whole European Union and Europe more broadly. How soon do you see that market becoming a contributor to your revenue?
I think the earliest we'll see that is end of 2020. We believe in the first 9 months we'll have our greenhouse built, and then we'll start some production, and we estimate about 1 ton of production end of 2020. and that will be sold domestically and export. First, I think that 1 ton will be sold domestically through local pharmacies, and then in 2021, the facility will be a full capacity producing the 10 tons that I mentioned earlier. So I think we'll see domestic revenues from Portugal in the end of 2020, and then from exports in 2021.
Mm-hmm. Do you have an idea as to how much you're going to be able to retail cannabis for in Portugal?
Yes, I mean, we'll be selling it at the wholesale for about between 3 and 4 euros per gram. Retail actually is closer to 10.
And do you have do you have a handle on your costs in terms of producing in Portugal?
Yeah, we better.
Yeah.
So yes, the cost of producing medical cannabis is below 1 euro per gram.
Oh, okay, fantastic. So is it mostly outdoor in Portugal, or is it greenhouse, indoor?
No, it'll be in greenhouse.
Oh, it'll be in greenhouse. Okay. So it seems like there's a lot of companies trying to.
Cannabis.
Oh, I see. It seems like there's a lot of companies rather, trying to get something going in Portugal. Is it difficult to get set up there? Is the government giving away licenses like free tickets, or is it more of a you have to know somebody to get your stuff organized there?
So to give you a better idea, you need to know people. The Infarmed, the regulatory body of Portugal, there's one full license operating in Portugal, which is Tilray, and there are a couple, another 5, which have provisional license to build the greenhouse. What the Infarmed has told us is that they want to see what happens with these licenses, and I think they're actually becoming more difficult to issue new provisional licenses, and they want to see how the market evolves. But basically, the short answer is that with these 6 licenses in 2021 and in 2020, they don't foresee issuing many more licenses for the short term.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you're based in Montevideo, Uruguay, correct?
Correct, yes.
And what is the advantage to an internationally focused cannabis company to being based in Montevideo, Uruguay more broadly?
Well, what we have is, we do have an office in Toronto since we're a Canadian company,
okay.
But what we have is operational teams in Uruguay, in Portugal, and in Spain. And I'm based in Uruguay, obviously, because I think it's the country outside North America. I mean, as you know, it was the first country to legalize recreational cannabis in the world, and it has a very good legislation and a very supportive government for this sector. And I think being very well positioned close to Argentina, Paraguay, and Brazil, it has a tremendous opportunity, no?
Sure. And tell me about Spain. Spain is the country that you really don't hear that much about, even though I know that there's some conferences on cannabis happening there next year. How close is Spain to becoming a retail market recreationally or a medical market?
So there are 5 or 6, I believe, medical licenses in Spain, where those companies are producing and they're exporting. There's not a local medical market, and there has been some talks about potentially recreationally, but I think that's still far away. Mm-hmm. What Spain offers, I think, it has one of the best growing climates for outdoors. So it's very cheap to grow hemp in Spain. Mm-hmm. So our focus right now is we're focusing on growing hemp outdoors. And then one of our milestones for 2020 is actually to build our extraction facility in Portugal to be able to do extraction under GMP. So I think the growing climate and the low cost of production in Spain favors that, and Spain and Portugal, they're neighbors.
Right. Okay. So then, in terms of your capital requirements, getting to the point of profitability, how is that looking for you right now?
I think we're actually one of the very few companies that successfully closed funding in the past months. We closed our RTO. We raised a total of 17 million Canadian, which it's enough. I mean, we're fully funded to finance our capex and take us to profitability. So I think we are very excited about the opportunity. We're a very young startup, but I think our founders, our Canadian founders, they were brilliant in the sense that they pioneered the industry in Canada. They exited the Canadian industry last year, which I think it was the perfect timing, and understood that there was a big opportunity internationally. So there, I think that together, and now with a fully funded startup, there are also great M&A opportunities that we've allocated some funds towards it. And I think there's a liquidity constraint in the market for, in North America, but even more so in Europe and South America. So we're very excited, and I think there's tremendous opportunity for us in Southern Europe and South America.
You bet. All right, Francisco, great to hear about your company. We'll look forward to covering you in the future. Good luck, and we'll see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much.